Kharkiv is a city under siege. The Russians are relentlessly pounding Kharkiv. Initially, there were missile and rocket attacks followed by intense battles. But as of now, the impression is that the Ukrainians are once again in control of Kharkiv. At least that is what the Ukrainian government is claiming, that they once again succeeded in pushing back the aggressors. But the damage is there for all to see. School buildings, government buildings, opera, theatre, nothing has been spared. A city, at least parts of it, reduced to rubble. We bring you a ground report.
The city of Kharkiv, ravaged by Russians, as the fight continues to capture the second largest city of Ukraine. India Today is the only channel reporting from the city, parts of which lie in complete ruin. Watch this compelling report by India Today's Ihor Didenko, showing how the people of Kharkiv are fighting back.
This appears to be a light strike vehicle. Ihor is telling us it's a Russian vehicle. Was this damaged here? How was it damaged and destroyed, Ihor? I don't know. The Ukrainian forces attacked it?
Yes. It was attacked to the people on the night.
Do we know when this happened? Did this happen yesterday?
No, on Sunday.
The city has seen endless violence, cars wrecked, buildings damaged, and stalls completely vandalized. All this in the heart of Kharkiv.
Look at this one. It's a metro station, Kievskaya. Kievsky metro station, like capital of Ukraine, Kiev. Kievska rail station. It's not NATO objects. It's not military objects. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this one. Please. Look at this. Look at this one.
Buildings are still on fire in some parts of Kharkiv, and India Today's Ihor reached the heart of the siege to show you the aftermath of the Russian attack.
Yes. It's a building, old building, near the people. Building on the fire. Near the gas station, near the my car, near the center. I don't know why. Maybe it was bombed. Maybe it was a Russian soldier. I don't know. I just see this one. You can see this. It's fire.
This is the horrifying aftermath of war in Kharkiv, as residents have been waking up every morning to these scenes. As always, civilians are paying the price of war as they scramble to get supplies amid shelling and explosions.
Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
It's a shop. It's a civil shop called Kulinichi. In people buy here food.
Bombs going off every few hours. School buildings destroyed. India Today reporter Ihor Didenko gets you a closer look of the destroyed school building pounded by Russian missiles.
What Ihor is just showing us for our viewers. Ihor, I'm just telling my viewers what you are showing us. You're showing us a school that has been hit by Russian shells and also a Russian military vehicle that's been destroyed. He tells us that this is a school that has also come under attack. These pictures that we're looking at, Preeti, that Ihor is bringing to us, the first pictures, so far, they've only been coming in via agencies, but here is a school or whatever this building is that has clearly come under.
Civilians dead as residential buildings face shelling. India Today will continue getting you all the updates from every part of Kharkiv as the city faces an endless Russian onslaught. This report filed by Ihor Didenko from strife-torn Kharkiv in Ukraine for India Today.
Kherson is a popular and important port city. It has a population of 300,000 people. This, after 8 days, this city has finally fallen under Russian control. There were intense battles for Kherson and pitched battles. The Ukrainian forces fought back, but finally the Russians, after a series of rocket and artillery attacks, are now in control of Kherson. President Putin's forces are officially now in control of a town in Ukraine. We bring you this report from Kherson.
Gunfire, explosions, bombardments, incessant rain of missiles and rockets. And southern port city of Kherson falls after 8 days. Russia's first major gain after it launched Mission Siege Ukraine. The rampage on Kherson has given Russia a tragic advantage in the region. Kherson, with a population of 2.5 lakh, is strategically located where Dnipro River flows into the Black Sea. Kherson will prove to be an advantage for Russian forces to lay siege on eastern Ukraine.
Russian armed forces have taken the city of Kherson under total control. Civilian infrastructure, critical infrastructure, and public transport work as usual. There is no shortage of groceries or staple goods.
Russian troops took control of strategic buildings after capturing Kherson and was in talks with local authorities to maintain law and order in the city and avoid civilian aggression. With Kherson falling, Russia is now putting its focus on big cities of Kiev, Kharkiv and Mariupol. Russia has breached one fortress. Will more follow? Bureau Report, India Today.
How long can Kiev last after Kherson, after pitched battles for 8 days in Kharkiv? Is the entire focus of the Russian forces now going to be on the Ukrainian capital, Kiev? As of now, the city appears well defended. The fact that Kharkiv was able to withstand Russian assault for 8 days and counting, will it be a cakewalk for Russia in Kiev? Clearly not. Our next report tells you more about the defense of the Ukrainian capital and the will of the people to protect their capital.
The city of Kherson has fallen. The second largest city, Kharkiv, is being pounded by Russia. And now the invading forces are turning the heat up on Kiev. Late night on Wednesday, explosions rocked the capital, targeting the city's central railway station. As talks between the two sides look unlikely to succeed for a second time, Russian troops are awaiting orders to go full throttle into Kiev. After a night of dreadful bombings, Ukrainians braced for the tough days of fighting that lies ahead.
This special broadcast comes to you from the heart of Kiev. This is the Khreshchatyk area. This is the center of Kiev. There is a military checkpoint just behind me because this is the road that leads to the presidential palace and the parliament. There is not just massive military deployment, but as you can see, several layers of barricades that have been set up in this area.
Freezing temperatures have not slowed down the Ukrainian forces. They are firming up defensive positions.
Those white sandbags there, those are the sandbags which have been placed behind the wall to use as a firing position in case any enemy movement takes place on that road coming from top to down below there.
Civilians are taking up weapons, ready to defend their land.
Pranav, you go to college. In college, one would expect you'd have a pen in your hand or a computer, but you have an assault rifle.
Yes, I do, but this is only for self-defense. If anything does happen, we are here to protect our country. As my sister said, the willpower of this country is the strongest. No other country has the willpower that Ukraine has that will be there to defend our country no matter what.
The city is witnessing unending, blaring air raid sirens in anticipation of air attacks and missile strikes. The big Russian blitz on the capital looks inevitable. How long can Kiev and its people resist the unsparing Russian onslaught? With Gaurav Sawant and Rajesh Pawar in Kiev, Bureau Report, India Today.
With air raid sirens going off virtually every few minutes, Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, is on edge. It's virtually on tenterhooks. A lot of women in advanced stages of pregnancy have been admitted to a maternity hospital in Kiev. But they're not just in maternity hospital. With bombs falling, and especially now near the central railway station and two other locations in Kiev, pregnant women have been shifted to the basement of this hospital. We bring you this report from Kiev.
This is the cellar of a hospital in the Ukrainian capital, and it's what a maternity ward now looks like in Kiev while the city is under attack by Russian forces.
I woke up on 24th of February at 5 o'clock in the morning from the heat that I heard, the explosion, and then I heard women started to cry and scream. The war started.
Alina Shenkar is 32 weeks pregnant with her first child. She was admitted to one of Kiev's maternity hospitals 2 weeks ago because of pregnancy complications. A week later, bombs and artillery began to fall.
And I couldn't believe. I thought it's some nightmare. But this is what it is. This is how we're living.
Amid the nightmare, new life. A mother who said her name was Yula delivered her son Mark on Sunday night.
I came here on the first day of the war because I was pregnant, and 28 February I had my son. His name is Mark, with C. And we are in safe here. The best personnel, the best staff in the world works here, and we are very proud of them.
Dmitro Govseyev is the head of the maternity hospital. He said his staff now basically live here alongside their patients.
Most of our team have not left the building since February 24th. About 70% of staff stay here permanently. We take turns at work.
Russia's invasion is increasingly bloody and without an end anywhere in sight. That hasn't stopped some here from hoping for a brighter future.
Hopefully this one will see peace.
Russia has put the S-400 Triumph anti-missile defense system on alert. Russian servicemen are now on the Triumph system, and this is one of the world's, or perhaps the world's, most advanced anti-missile and anti-aircraft system. We are told that Russian servicemen are now on the Triumph systems guarding for an incoming attack. Is this an indication that the Russians expect, or there is an apprehension that there could be strikes inside Russia? And what would that mean? India Today's editor defense Abhishek Bhalla with this report.
Triumph S-400 in action. One of Russia's most potent weapons, carrying out training exercises amid the Ukraine invasion, is a stern message. Even though the drills take place in Serbia, thousands of kilometers away from where the fighting is happening, this is a show of strength in case of an escalation from NATO countries. This is Russia's muscle flexing. News reports from Russia said that the long-range surface-to-air anti-aircraft missile systems are in a combat training mode. The S-400 is a mobile long-range surface-to-air missile system which is considered one of the most lethal in the world. It can take down multiple targets up to a range of 400 kilometers. Be it fighter jets, bombers, cruise and ballistic missiles or drones. With 4 different kinds of missiles, it has beyond visual range capabilities. It can engage multiple targets that include tracking of 160 objects in a 600 kilometers range and hit 72 targets up to 400 kilometers. The 4 different missiles have varied capabilities. Short range, 40 kilometers. Medium range, 120 kilometers. Long range, 180 kilometers. And very long range, 400 kilometers. The S-400 is the upgraded version of the S-300 and S-200 Triumph. Russia was looking at inducting 56 of these by 2020. China and Turkey are also among the nations that China has provided this potent weapon system to. The next version, S-500, can target ballistic missiles 600 kilometers away. India has also purchased S-400 system from Russia despite US pressure of sanctions. The delivery of the first unit has already taken place and it has been deployed along the Western Front in the Punjab sector. Russia has made it clear that the war in Ukraine and sanctions on Moscow will not impact the deliveries to India.
Don't foresee any obstacles as regards the supplies of S-400 to India. We have the mechanisms and routes to continue with this deal unobstructively.
4 more units are to be delivered, with 1 unit expected every 6 months. With Abhishek Bhalla, Bureau Report, India Today.
Has Russian President Vladimir Putin already planned a regime change in Ukraine? If reports in Ukrainian media are to be believed, the Russian president's agenda is 1. Dethrone President Zelensky. 2. Bring in a president who is favorable to Russia. And all eyes are on Viktor Yanukovych. Now, he was ousted after the 2014 uprising in Ukraine after he opposed the European Union agreement or a deal for the European Union. The grapevine has it that he is in Minsk in Belarus, waiting for these operations to be over, waiting for President Zelensky to be removed, and once again take control of power in Ukraine.
He had a reputation of being heavy-handed. He was accused of corruption. His proximity to Moscow was always the talk of the town. Former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, who fled to Russia in 2014, could be preparing for a homecoming. If reports are to be believed, Kremlin is planning to declare Yanukovych the president of Ukraine once Kiev falls to Russia. Who is Viktor Yanukovych? And why is Putin banking on him? The answer lies in the past. Yanukovych was elected as the 4th president of Ukraine in 2010. In 2013, he refused to sign a political and trade agreement with the European Union. This deal was meant to smoothen the trading process between Ukraine and the EU. Instead, Yanukovych took a $15 billion bailout from Russia. What followed was a string of violent clashes. Riots broke out across Kiev that overthrew the Yanukovych government in February 2014. He then made his way to Russia, where he continues to live in exile under the protection of the Kremlin. His previous tenure as elected president of Ukraine makes Yanukovych a viable candidate for Putin. The Russian president may hand over Ukraine's reins to Yanukovych and set up a puppet government. His proximity to Putin means Ukraine will then give up pursuing membership in NATO. With Geeta Mohan in New Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Russia has issued the end threat, the nuclear threat. And this is the third time that the word nuclear war has been used by Russia. And this time the warning comes from Russia's Foreign Affairs Minister, Sergei Lavrov, who said that if there is a third world war, it would be nuclear and it would be extremely destructive for the entire world. The question remains, who is this warning for? Is this for Ukraine, a non-nuclear nation, or is this warning for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization countries not to interfere in this war between Ukraine and Russia? Take a look at this report.
A week into the invasion of Ukraine, Russia is turning up the heat. The Putin administration is not shying away from dangling the nuke threat. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has warned a third world war would be nuclear and destructive, and claims Ukraine will not be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons.
Ukraine possesses Soviet technologies and means to deliver nuclear weapons. We cannot ignore the real danger. Let me assure you, a responsible member of the international community committed to its obligations to non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Russia is taking every possible measure to prevent Ukraine from getting nuclear weapons and respective technologies.
Several nations have condemned the nuclear threat dropped by Russia.
Russia has raised the alert level of the preparation of the nuclear deterrence units, which is a dangerous act that may lead to further destabilization of the situations.
By enhancing the alert status of its nuclear forces, Russia has taken another escalatory and irresponsible step.
Lavrov's nuclear saber rattling is not the first time Russia has issued such threats. 4 days into the war on Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin had put nuclear deterrent forces on high alert.
Dear colleagues, as you can see, not only Western countries take unfriendly measures against our country. In the economic dimension, I mean the illegal sanctions that everyone knows about very well. But the top officials of leading NATO countries allow themselves to make aggressive statements with regard to our country. That is why I ordered Defense Minister and Chief of General Staff to put Russian Army deterrence forces on high alert.
Only the US, Russia and China have intercontinental ballistic missiles. And Russia has many options when it comes to delivery of nuclear weapons. Topol-M is one of the most recent intercontinental ballistic missiles to be deployed by Russia. It is the first to be developed after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The RSM-56 Bulava is a submarine-launched ballistic missile developed for the Russian Navy. It was deployed in 2013 on the new Bore class of nuclear submarines. Kinzhal is a hypersonic cruise missile. It has a claimed range of more than 2,000 kilometers and an ability to perform evasive maneuvers at every stage of its fight. Russia has the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. Moscow has over 6,000 nuclear weapons, 675 more than the United States. Whereas China has 350, Britain 225, France 300 and India 150. As Putin bares his nuclear fangs, the West has responded with calm. The US and allies have so far stuck to sanctions on Russian economy. Bureau Report, India Today.
As we drive through Kiev, one thing is very noticeable. People are going out of the city where men want to leave their families, they want to leave their children, their parents outside the city and then come back to join this resistance, to join this fight to defend Kiev, to protect Kiev and to ensure that Russia does not succeed. A quick break. back with lots more on this India Today special ground report that comes to you from Kiev.